Man, another mass shooting, this time in Chicago, which was my home for 30 years. A couple of things before I get to my main point. One, there were just as many people that died in Chicago from gun violence as did the mass shooting, and that goes on every weekend. But those are poor black folks, and they don't matter to the mass media. Nothing like a white kid shooting up a wealthy white community to make news from their standpoint. And secondly, I was a gun owner those years in Chicago, and no one is as intimately acquainted with the rules and laws and stuff governing guns as I am. It's insane. And if you think for a second by adding another, you're going to stop mass shooters like this guy, listen, I don't have the ability to add brain cells to your head that gives you a little common sense to put away that idea. Which brings me to my point. I've contested for decades that the government, and this issue proves it better than any, the government is incapable of solving social issues like mass shooters. And so what do we do about this? Well, we just went through July 4th weekend, celebrating the birth of this great country. You know what made it great? Individual freedoms, self-governance. That's what this country was built on, and that's what made it wealthy and great. You know, I had somebody came to me recently, a friend, and said, "Hey, Bill, you're the big history guy. Has there ever been a country in the world like America?" And I laughed. I said, not even close. I mean, the governmental experiment here, experience, man, never in the history of the world. I mean, think about it. In the world's history, you were always governed by, like monarchies, kings and queens, or czars, lords, emperors, dictators, fascists, or Mao called himself the chairman of the Communist Party. Whatever term you want to use, the essence was the same, that people did not have individual freedoms. They served their governments. And in most cases, were happy to do so, even though it was disastrous. Listen, at the beginning of our country, we had those 13 colonies over on the Atlantic Ocean, and then we moved west, and yes, we treated the Indians and blacks bad, but we still moved west. And let me tell you what that was like. You'd have this guy throw his babies into the back of the covered wagon, every possession that he owned, pile his family in, and move west, where there were no roads, no government, no laws, no hospitals or retail shops, supermarkets, nothing, and had to fight Indians all along the way, deal with natural disasters and diseases they had never experienced before, and had such a loss of life, it was incredible. But their individual responsibility, they put it on their backs. This is where the term rugged individualism comes from. And it was here that after the Revolutionary War, our nation's forefathers took this spirit, incorporated it into our Constitution and who we are as a nation. And we've strayed from this. Listen, I saw where this kid was living in an apartment behind his dad's house. Hasn't had a job since before COVID. That would have been unacceptable in my house. I mean, I had 3 kids. When they were teenagers going to high school, they had to get a job. And they joyfully did. You know why? Because I taught them their whole life that they have to take individual responsibility. They are the secret to their own success. I mean, I was asking them when they were 2 years old what they were going to be when they grow up. Listen, this kid, and you know what? If you can't discipline yourself, that's when the family's got to help. And if the family can't help, you got to go to the neighbors, to the churches, civic organizations, all of these things that are walking distance from the Looney Tunes. He can be identified. And lastly, our culture has made it so these kids can be anything they want to be, do anything they want to do, and we're just simply to tolerate it. That is tragic. Stop that. Teach individual responsibility. Take the role of discipline ourselves, of our family and our friends. There will not be any more mass shooters.